It's Caroline, your friendly neighborhood soup lady over here. I wanted to teach you today one of my favorite soups. I call it golden summer squash. It's kind of like the southern casserole that my in-laws really love to make, mixed with some like really adventurous flavors that make it even more comforting and more exciting. So it's really simple. It has very few ingredients. It has a bunch of yellow squash. I've already cut some up. I'll show you that in a minute. And then we have some mint for the end. And the flavor base is just onion, garlic, and ginger. It cooks in coconut oil and has some smoked paprika and turmeric in it for health and flavor. And it's finished with some lemon. So the easy part, well, all of it's really easy, but the squash is just cut in 1/2-inch pieces, and they're meant to be chunky like this. A lot of my soups are. In this case, it's meant to be chunky because it cooks down into these like beautiful ribbons. But it makes prep very, very easy. So there we go. That's about 2 pounds of summer squash. And then at the very end, we're gonna finish the soup with some sliced mint. And I just wanted to show you how to do that, very simple. You just strip the leaves from the stalks, and then you gather them up as best as you can. It's sometimes more helpful when the leaves are slightly bigger. And this mint is a little bit rough looking. It was grown in my garden in abundance, just like summer squash. And so I gathered into as tight of a little bundle as I can. And then I cut it as thinly as I can, really, just crosswise into nice little strips. And it's not really fussy. And this actually is a really big flavor component of the soup. It balances really well with the other flavors we have going on. Because I wanted to make a soup like the kind my in-laws enjoy, the southern version, but give it my own little twist. So that'll come in at the end. Awesome. Now let's get set to cook the soup. All right, great. Now we're ready to cook the soup. It's very, very simple. As I said, we've got our squash, we've got our mint for later. We start with coconut oil. And I think of southern, squash casserole as being really delicious and decadent. And this is the way that I accomplish that, is having this like lovely coconut oil, very rich, it makes everything really soft and sort of glossy. I love it very much. And I think it goes really well with the flavors that are in the soup. And you know what I say, oil is brain food. And so that's why I like to use a fair bit of it, because it's also like part of sort of the flavor and seasoning of the soup. And here we go. Here's our chopped onion. And we have our chopped ginger. And our chopped garlic. Now, part of my thing that I do in my soups, well, and in all cooking really, is because I don't use broth, you have to layer your flavors. So it's really important to season with salt now, and then you season it again when you add water later. So, and this soup happens to really like pepper. I don't always marry salt and pepper together, but this soup, I really think salt and pepper is very much called for. So we're just going to sort of saute this until the onion is soft. I'm going to turn it up a little bit to get it sizzling, but not browned. I don't particularly want the onion and garlic to be browned for this soup. I want everything to remain kind of tender and sweet. This is a stirring occasionally kind of situation, so you can like go away and come back. I love a red lentil, and this soup uses red lentils for its protein, but you could also use A yellow split pea would be really delicious and really cool too. Equally soft, equally interesting, with a longer cooking time though, so you have to watch that. But it'll be delicious. All right, we're ready now for the red lentils I told you about. And the spices. So this is smoked paprika and some turmeric. I'm just going to give these both a little bit of a stir in with the lentils, and that way they all kind of toast a little bit, but not too much, just a little bit to wake them all up. And lentils are interesting to work with because anyone who's ever cooked with lentils knows, if this is your first time, I'll let you know so you don't get worried. They can really stick to your pan if I poured all this water in at one time, they would really adhere to the bottom. Or if you have all the water in first and you plopped a bunch of red lentils in there or any kind of lentil, it would just create kind of like a raft, a lentil raft that you'd have to break up, and it gets kind of high maintenance. So this is how I do it. I just add the water kind of in two parts. So we're not in fear of that happening here. We've also got this thyme that goes in with the water. And now we just add all of the squash, all at the same time. So in the cooking time of the lentils, the squash will really break down and become like nice big ribbons. So this is really it. This is the whole recipe. Super fun and easy. And all I'm going to do is add more of the water. There we go. Give it a good stir and bring it to a boil. And because my soups aren't made with broth, I always add salt when I add water, because otherwise the vegetable cooking liquid, that's what becomes the broth. And I feel like broth is kind of a new thing for soup cooking. You know, peasant cooking, you'd throw in a bone or something like that to make different flavors. And we are lucky enough to have like lots of dried spices and things to add. So that's what makes it delicious. Instead of throwing in a bone, I throw in some like whole thyme, and we'll just pick out the stems later instead of a bone. a little less macabre. All right, I got to season this, and I'll add a little bit of pepper, a little bit more pepper since I just did a tiny pinch before. But so this just comes to a boil. I'm going to bring up the heat, cover it, and then once it comes to a boil, we'll just bring it back down to a simmer. Woohoo! This is great. So what you do now, just give it a good stir to make sure that those pesky lentils are behaving. And then you just turn it down and let it like gently simmer for as long as it takes to get the lentils cooked. They'll break down totally into, you won't be able to see them anymore. It'll look like a pureed soup. And by that time, the squash will be breaking apart and into nice, like thick ribbons. Excellent. Isn't that cool? Magic of television. It's now done. Beautiful. All right, so now comes in the time for that mint. Remember that we worked on? Sliced nice and thin. I'll save like a little bit for this bowl of mine. And it gets finished with lemon juice. Catch any seeds? Yeah. And I will season it with just a little salt because it's nice at the end, that last dash of salt. All of the other flavors have really cooked together. This gives it a nice little brightness. And a tiny last pinch of pepper. This is the world's largest bowl, so this is good. Look at that. Here, let's make it official. Look at that. A little bit extra black pepper because that's how I like to roll with the soup. So pretty, huh? I love it so much. Can't wait to try it. Except it's going to be very, very hot, so I probably could wait to try it. I thought of this because the lentils too remind me of sort of the seeds of the yellow squash when it cooks down and it becomes this like lovely, tasty mush. That's as appetizing as that sounds. Super warm. Mmm, so good. Oh, I could eat this whole thing. In fact, I probably will as soon as I stop rolling this. But next time you can cook along with me. This is my second soup book. It's called Seconds, and it's available at the Book Larder online, signed by me. It's my local bookstore. I hope you support yours too. Thank you, and see you next time.